Well, let me start off first with obviously all our prayers here at Mississippi State go out to all the families and that lost homes, that lost loved ones in these storms that we just had that have just really ravaged our state. I know our student athletes, as well as myself, all of our coaches, everybody in our university family, our athletic department, they were at yesterday setting up a here kind of for relief efforts. I know a lot of our students are working, and my wife and I also going to be very involved in getting to the relief efforts, and when we can get down there to help those in need out. As a state's university, we need to try as best we can to be out front and help all of those in need, and I know it's a tragic time for all of them. When it gets back to football, which kind of always takes a back seat when you have these things, and I thought we had a great spring as a team. I'm happy with the direction our program's headed in right now. We got through spring keeping everybody very healthy, and for the most part, no serious in the spring practice. So we need to keep moving forward and hopefully continue to build on the success that we've had over the last several years.
Thanks, Coach. Your first question comes from Hugh Allenberger of the Clarion Ledger.
Hey, Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Just want to get your thoughts on how everything happened with the SEC scheduling, staying 8 games, and also requiring the major conference school in non-conference.
Well, I know, we've tried to do that. One, the scheduling, I look at the SEC. I think there's so much change going on in college football right now. A lot of people, hey, what do you think of the new playoff? And I don't know. It looks good, but we haven't been in it. Until we know how the whole system is going to play out, we don't know if it's going to be a good or bad system as we move forward now. So I think the SEC, with our scheduling, what we've done, we've had an awful lot of success in the past with it. It's worked out fairly well. So I can see with all the other questions going on in college football to not make another change. Let's see where we're at with things in the near future. I know playing other opponents, this past season we played Oklahoma State. I know we've tried to schedule teams from all the 5 major conferences in the past. We haven't had a lot of luck of teams wanting to, schedule games with us, but we're going to, obviously now with it's mandated, we're going to continue to try to do that. But I think scheduling, we've taken the approach, we're playing Southern Miss this year in our opener, which is, I know on a national level it's not much, but I know to everybody in the state of Mississippi it's such a huge game, in a great series that hasn't been played in a while. And so I think with scheduling, we've been very proactive trying to play quality games or games that mean a lot to the people here in the state of Mississippi.
Did you have an opinion on 6-1-1 or 6-0-2 as far as the SEC format?
I've been involved in 5-1-2 and 6-1-1 in my time in the league, and the 6-1-1 and the 5-1-2 that we had prior to that has put a lot of teams in national championship games. So I guess I'm in favor of that as we continue to move forward until we think that we need to do something to change to make things better.
Thanks.
Next question, Matthew Stevens of the Commercial Dispatch.
Hey, Dan.
How you doing today?
Not bad. Just to ducktail off the scheduling question, do you and Scott kind of have fears about going forward with this in the sense of maybe having to schedule 2-for-1s just to get a team to come to Starkville? Is that part of the fear of going into this in 2016?
No, I think, one, we want to try to maintain being able to play 7 home games a year like we've done. Some teams, I think, in the league playing up to 8 now, but, our goal is to have 7 home games a year moving forward. And, as I've said, the hardest thing for me is the short turnaround. I think, we had teams scheduled. We're going to have to look at changing the schedule for that year, but made an attempt, I think, to schedule teams from those leagues. We've reached out to a lot of different people and never got a lot of interest in teams wanting to play home and homes with us from the bigger conferences, but we're going to continue to do so, obviously now in the future, to find that rival. I think at some of the schools it's a little easier because they have that every year rival that they play in a non-conference game that's already from one of those conferences, so they kind of have one of those games already scheduled in for us, and we don't have that local rival to do that with. So, I think playing Southern Miss, we went out to kind of say, hey, this was a big rivalry in the state of Mississippi, and as a local one of those as we could get, let's try to do something with that. But obviously that'll probably in the come off the table now.
As a follow-up, you said almost jokingly asked me after the year how that kickoff classic game with Oklahoma State worked out. I know you didn't get the W, but in terms of marketing the brand and everything, do you feel like that worked out well in terms of Mississippi State?
Yeah, for us in the game, we didn't play very poorly, and we actually had a couple of. When you take that one game into consideration, we had 2 season-ending injuries, and then another one that greatly affected our season with our quarterback missing a lot of games. So, I guess in retrospect, through the injury department, it didn't turn out real well for us, that particular game. But you know what? For the exposure for our kids, I think those are great games to play in. It was an honor to get invited to go play in that game, and hopefully we get to do that more. I know we want to compete against the best, and that was a team that almost won their conference championships. I think that would have been our the third or maybe even fourth conference champion we played on the schedule this year. So that was a good experience for us.
Next question comes from Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hi, Dan. Could you assess your quarterback play from the spring and maybe how the pecking order will go through project into the fall?
I think the guys, they continued to work really well. I think, with Brian Johnson coming in as a new quarterback coach this spring, he brought some fresh new ideas to the table, and I think they responded well to that. You have 2 that have starting experience. Even though Damian Williams only started 1 game and Dax started a couple, not with any real significant starting experience, but 2 guys that have started games. So you got to see them really continue to take strides in the right direction. In their development and moving into the future. We had Nick Fitzgerald graduate high school early, which is obviously a huge advantage for young men to be able to do and get a spring ball under your belt. And we'll see. Those guys will be competing together into the fall to see how it goes. And I think one big thing at the quarterback position, there's so much extra development that those guys have to do on their own. We can't be around them now throwing a football until I think July 30th we report to camp. And you look at it, it's such a skilled position. So how much they're going to go work on their skill in their personal time between now and July 30th will really determine what the pecking order goes going into the season.